An incredible story of survival. A Brockville woman walks away from a dramatic crash on a snowy Highway 401, calling the outcome nothing short of a miracle. Good afternoon. This is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan. A Brockville woman says she is thanking God after what she says was she was able to walk away from a devastating crash scene on Highway 401.
There were too many factors for that to come together the way it did to just call it luck.
Brittany Savage had her car end up inside the cab of this transport and somehow left the scene without injuries. The 27-year-old realtor was driving westbound on the 401 from Brockville to Mallorytown on January 26th, the morning after a snowstorm, when she says a transport truck driving the opposite direction tipped over, slid across the highway median, and crashed into her SUV. Savage says she wasn't injured because her car collided with the hollow roof on the truck cab and credits the outcome to a higher power.
I don't know, is this adrenaline that's completely pumping through my body why I feel okay? Is something more serious going on? Or is it just that God just saved my life and I'm perfectly fine, which is what I thought in that moment, which is what it's proved.
Ontario Provincial Police say the driver of the transport was also somehow uninjured in the crash. So far, no charges have been laid in the incident, as police say the investigation is ongoing. A school bus driver has been fired after allegedly leaving dozens of students stranded in a parking lot just as the weekend was about to begin. It happened on Coventry Road, west of St. Laurent Boulevard, Friday afternoon. CTV's Katie Griffin is here with the details. Katie.
Well, Stefan, the bus had about 40 students from Samuel Jeanette on board, a grade 7 to 12 school in the French Catholic board. The school bus authority says instead of proceeding on his route, the driver parked the bus, left the students on board, and drove away in his car. The head of the school bus authority says this all happened at the bus depot on Coventry Road around 3 o'clock Friday. He says he's never seen anything like this in his career and that a replacement bus was sent to take the students home. Some parents came to pick up their kids and police were contacted. In a statement, the French Catholic School Board says it does not condone any behavior that could compromise the safety or well-being of students. The consortium says the driver has been relieved of his duties and will never drive a school bus again. And Ottawa police confirming tonight that an investigation is underway. Stefan.
All right, CTV's Katie Griffin reporting for us. Thank you for this update, Katie.
Welcome.
Porter Airlines is expanding winter travel options out of Ottawa, adding new nonstop flights to Miami and Phoenix. But the move comes as fewer Canadians overall are traveling to the United States. CTV's Josh Morano joins us now with more. Josh.
Yeah, Stefan, Porter says while U.S. travel has softened, Ottawa remains a strong market for warm weather destinations, and nonstop flights are still drawing interest. Flights to Miami have already begun with 3 flying out a week. Phoenix flights begin February 7th, also going 3 times a week. The airline says the additions expand its cross-border and international operations and are aimed at leisure travelers looking for direct flights, even as U.S. travel demand dips. Porter notes its passenger volume to the U.S. is down about 5%, but says interest in sun destinations remains strong.
People are still enjoying the southwest of the United States. A lot of people in Canada own property down there. So essentially, we're giving people what they're looking for, and we're looking for those nonstop options out of a great partner in Ottawa.
The Canadian traffic going into the United States is a little bit softer, but during cold winter months, that sunshine is ever alluring, and then businesses will be connecting. And so we hope that this is just a short-term blip.
The airline notes the biggest takeaway for travelers with the changes are residents no longer having to connect through Ottawa or Montreal, or Toronto or Montreal, excuse me, for destination trips. And later this year, Porter will also be moving nonstop flights to Sudbury, Kelowna, and Windsor from Toronto to Ottawa in a move that looks to be making Ottawa the central hub for the airline. Stefan.
CTV's Josh Morano reporting live for us. Thanks, Josh. One of Ottawa's most iconic downtown buildings is back in the spotlight as a possible train station for a high-speed rail line connecting Ottawa to communities from Quebec City to Toronto. The Senate of Canada building, formerly Union Station, served as a central train station for more than 50 years. But the final train to roll into that station was back in 1966. Now Alto, the Crown Corporation leading the charge for the high-speed rail project, is looking at options for a station in Ottawa. Ottawa's Mayor Mark Sutcliffe is backing the idea of reconverting the Senate of Canada building back to its roots. But to make it work, crews would likely need to tunnel under the Rideau Canal.
That's a huge task. The tunnel would be a little bit shorter than the LRT tunnel, but you remember all the difficulties that we had digging that under downtown Ottawa. But it could be done. It is feasible. Yes, it would cost a couple of $1 billion, I expect.
Another option for the station, the Via Rail station on Tremblay Road. The first segment of the high-speed rail line would connect Ottawa and Montreal, with construction anticipated to start in 2029. Public consultations on the proposed project are underway until March 29th. 2 people are being treated for injuries after an assault in the city's East End. Paramedics say they were called to the scene for an assault with a weapon. Ottawa police say they responded to the call around 8:45 this morning about 2 people who were assaulted in the 1400 block of Rainbow Crescent. That's off Bathgate Drive. Police say 2 suspects fled the scene, but officers found them nearby at around 10 a.m. A woman in her 30s and a man in his 60s were taken to hospital in stable condition. Police say this investigation is ongoing. It's Black History Month, and CTV News is highlighting voices and Black-owned businesses that are part of the fabric of our city. At Ritual on Main Cafe in Stittsville, the owner says she thrives in the busy coffee shop she opened 4 years ago, but it hasn't always been easy. After Chanel Huron walked away from the corporate marketing world to own her own business, she says she faced her share of barriers along the way. Today, she helps mentor others like her who want to be entrepreneurs.
So I've had my challenges over the years, but the rewarding part about wanting to sit down at the end of the day and actually, relax, or just kicking my shoes off, or I don't know, just, going home to my family is really just, it's amazing the experience I've been able to have here.
She says she called her business Ritual, hoping people would find a sense of calm in her shop and make it part of their own personal ritual.
Hard to put into words. I mean, it was just incredible to get that news.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, an Ottawa hockey players going to the Winter Olympics in Milan, but not to represent Canada. Details straight ahead. And our Jackie Pears is here live now with our first check on the forecast. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. We're getting a bit of a break from the bitter cold that pretty much dominated most of the country these past few weeks, including here in Ottawa. Right now, temperatures across eastern Ontario sit between -6, -7 degrees. In Bancroft, it's a sunny and warm -3. Quite a change that we had from just last week. It didn't stop the flurries, though. We are anticipating flurries moving through Tuesday evening with overnight lows. It's going to go down to about -15 tonight. Tomorrow's daytime high, very similar to today, -5. We'll have details and much more for you in just a bit. Stefan.
Thank you, Jackie. Here's what you need to know. Check out the Capital Hoops Classic men's and women's basketball games between the Ottawa GGs and Carleton Ravens at this Friday's game at TD Place, Friday, February 6th. A single ticket provides access to both the men's and women's games. The women's game starts at 6 p.m., followed by the men playing at 8. A live check on traffic right now. 417 is seeing some slowdowns in the westbound lanes from Bronson to Moody. Eastbound is slow from Riverside to the 174 split. And if you are headed out to Orleans, expect some backups from the split to Montreal Road. You're watching CTV News at 5. Welcome back to CTV News at 5. It's a concept generating plenty of talk. Could there eventually be a downtown train station here in Ottawa for high-speed rail? Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe is on board with the idea. Today's radio question of the day is asking, should a high-speed rail station come to Ottawa's downtown core?
It's not feasible. I think a suitable alternative location would be Billings Bridge Shopping Center. I know that the Via Rail train on the Ottawa to Toronto route currently passes by that area.
Christy Cameron is here, and I've been wondering about this myself, Christy, because it would be lovely in theory, but what kind of construction disruption and how long would that be disrupting the downtown core? What are your thoughts, really?
Well, I mean, as they say in real estate, location, location, location.
There we go. Bada
right?
boom, bada bing.
Right, it's gorgeous. and I mean, it formerly was the rail station,
yes,
but we haven't had the track since the 1960s. So that's the obstacle here. In addition to the political will, the timeline, and the cost to do it, just a couple little minor details, am I right? But, you know, should we select downtown Ottawa, you'd be getting off. We're looking at this view right now. Oh, there's the Rideau Canal. There's all of downtown Ottawa. But hey, there's the Rideau Canal, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Colonel By, which is used by commuters and also people cycling and walking. So if we're not going to rip that up, then we're going to have to go under it, which is going to be a substantial amount of work and would come at a huge cost. So there's a lot of engineering work that obviously would have to be done. But right now, we're just in the consultation phase.
And the LRT is already going underground, and it makes me nervous because we've had a sinkhole on Rideau Street.
Right. Yeah, and we've also had some unfortunate issues with trains in Ottawa. So I will say some of our listeners today were particularly sensitive about that. They said, let's get this train right. I'll point out that this is not a city project.
Correct.
This is a nation project, right?
Yes.
We're G7 capital. It would be cool.
It would be nice.
If it happens. Ottawa at least is in the first stretch. Ottawa to Montreal.
From downtown Toronto to downtown Ottawa would be nice.
2029, that's the beginning, so get ready.
Thanks, Christy. We will. You can join the conversation, leave a comment through the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. You can listen live to Christy Cameron on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 2 to 6. And now watch Christy's segments anytime on YouTube. Subscribe to the News Talk 580 CFRA channel. A local hockey player is set to suit up to play in the upcoming Winter Olympic Games, but not for Canada. Ottawa's Jason Seed, with dual Canadian and Italian citizenship, will play in Milan for an Italy team looking to make an impact on home ice. CTV's Dylan Dyson reports.
It suits his game. He's a skater and a puck mover.
In the Seed household, Italian hockey dominates the TV. Tom and Morella watching on as their son Jason Seed chased his dream of playing pro hockey.
He's been playing in Europe for a number of years, but finally went to Italy.
For a family with deep Italian heritage, Jason's situation couldn't get better until he was selected to Italy's Olympic hockey team for the upcoming Winter Games.
It's been kind of the perfect storm. Like, we didn't know when he started his pro hockey career that he'd end up in Italy, much less on the national team, much less having an Olympic opportunity.
Just really hard to describe, hard to put into words. I mean, it was just incredible to get that news.
Seed was born in Ottawa and grew up playing hockey for teams like the Ottawa Sting, Ottawa Valley Titans, Gatineau Olympique, and Carleton Ravens. He now plays for Bolzano Hockey Club in eastern Italy. Still as a child, Seed's mother ensured he got his Italian citizenship.
I never would have imagined it the way it's colliding the way it is now. No, definitely not, because it's a different world, right? Hockey is kind of Canada's sport, and obviously that's where I grew up playing it. But just very fortunate to have this opportunity here now, just based on the, my background.
Playing for Canada probably wouldn't have been an option. He's not an NHLer, and there's a lot of good players in Canada.
Now at 34 years old, Seed is set to represent his family's country on the Olympic stage in Milan, with all of them in the stands. Italy's Olympic group includes Finland, Sweden, and Slovakia.
We know we're definitely the underdogs. That being said, we have some pride. We're obviously the host team, and we're hosting the tournament, and we have a lot of pride in that.
We've enjoyed the ride along with them, but this will be that cherry on top for sure.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
Canada has about 25% of the remaining wetlands, and so we have an obligation to care for those that remain and restore them.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, a conservation charity now owns part of a system of wetlands in Ottawa's southwest end, pledging to protect it for years to come. Coming up later tonight on CTV, following the news, E-Talk starts at 7, St. Denis Medical at 7:30, Extracted at 8, then Memory of the Killer at 9. The Rookie starts at 10. January ended on an extremely cold note for much of the country, but we are getting a bit of a reprieve, at least for this week, with another check on the forecast. Let's bring in Jackie Paris. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. The bitter cold temperatures will relax back towards seasonal as we kick off February, but this will be brief. Remember, we're still in the heart of winter. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam showcasing Sussex Drive. And notice that it is still pretty light outside, the sun setting much later. It's -6 right now, so pretty warm considering what we've had for last week and the last couple weeks of January. Overnight, we're going to get down to about -11 for on the 9 o'clock hour, -13 closer to midnight. Partly cloudy skies are going to start to move through. Tomorrow morning, we're starting at -15 with the chance of flurries, and the likeliness for this will happen later on in the evening. So early afternoon or late afternoon, early evening. -5 is going to be the daytime high. As we look towards our friends in the Seaway, -13 overnight, -3 the daytime high. Flurries also in the forecast. And overnight for the valley, -17 degrees and -5 is the daytime high. In terms of the flurries, we could anticipate between 1 to 3 centimeters of snow in total by the end of Tuesday. Wednesday, though, into Thursday, it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud, with the temperatures again staying pretty mild and closer to the seasonal. -5 for Wednesday, -8 for Thursday. Friday, I'm liking -3, but with this will become the possibility of snow. An early forecast showing between 3 to 5 centimeters. We'll have a closer look at this in the 6 o'clock hour.
Thank you, Jackie. And here's a look at the stories you're checking out right now on CTV News Ottawa.ca. All of our local hot topics are there if you want more details. But right now, happening in Ottawa, you have two former prime ministers getting together. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper of the Conservative camp and Jean Chrétien of the Liberal camp. The Royal Geographical Society is hosting this chat, and it's a fireside chat discussing nationalism, a hot topic as we engage in a trade war with the United States. They brought up the War of 1812 and said British forces at the time burnt part of the White House. Jean Chrétien joked that we won't be doing that again. But all the details of how they feel about nationalism, where we sit as a country currently, are on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca. Coming up for us here on CTV News at 5, Ottawa Public Health reminding families to update routing childhood vaccination records as suspension students are now going out to some students. Suspension notices are going out to some students currently. Here's what you need to know. Mayfair Theatre is hosting a crafters movie afternoon this Saturday, February 7th. Come out for a cozy afternoon of stitching, crochet, knitting, or cross-stitch while watching The Devil Wears Prada on the big screen with the lights on. The event starts at 12:30 p.m. If you need gas this evening, one of today's cheapest gas prices can be found at the Petro-Canada station on Terry Fox Drive in Canada. Regular gas there tonight is going for $1.19 a litre. Here's another live check on traffic. We know that the westbound lanes headed out towards Canada, very busy between Bronson and Moody this hour. If you're eastbound, definitely headed towards Orleans. Things start to get busier on Riverside, and if you take the 174 out to Orleans, it's still busy up until Montreal Road. We'll be right back.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Welcome back. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. Temperature right now, -6. It's also time now for a look ahead to CTV News at 6. Here's Patricia Bull.
Thanks, Steph. Here's what we're working on for 6 o'clock.
God just saved my life, and I'm perfectly fine, which is what I thought in that moment, which is what it's proved.
A young mother of 2 from Brockville grateful to be alive after slamming into a transport truck on a snowy Highway 401. She shares her story with us. We'll have the latest on a school bus driver who has now been fired after allegedly leaving dozens of students in a stranded in a parking lot instead of driving them to their designated stops.
People are still enjoying the southwest of the United States. A lot of people in Canada own property down there.
Porter Airlines is expanding winter travel options out of Ottawa to 2 American cities at a time when fewer Canadians are planning trips south of the border. So why now? All of that and more is coming up tonight on CTV News at 6. That's right after the early edition of CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo at 5:30. Steph.
Thanks, Patricia. Now the final 5 other stories we're following today. Ottawa Public Health is sending out suspension notices this week to students with out-of-date vaccinations. Around 15,000 first notices were sent out in December to students born in 2008 and 2018, informing families that their child's vaccine record was incomplete. Those who haven't updated their records will now be getting a suspension notice, which will be rescinded when a record of immunization or medical exemption is provided to the health unit. Police say an 18-year-old Ottawa man is facing impaired driving charges after his vehicle struck the back of an OPP cruiser on the Queensway. It happened in the westbound lanes near Metcalfe just before 2:30 a.m. Sunday. Police were responding to another crash there when the vehicle collided into the back of their cruiser. Nobody was hurt. The teen driver is facing several charges, as well as a 90-day license suspension.
Canada has about 25% of the remaining wetlands, and so we have an obligation to care for those that remain and restore them.
A section of wetland habitat in rural Ottawa is now protected, with the Nature Conservancy of Canada securing more than 90 hectares in the Marlborough Forest. Experts say the lands play a key role in supporting wildlife, filtering water, and reducing flood risk, while also remaining a place where people can enjoy the great outdoors.
Jake Sanderson looks, Brady Tkachuk shoots, it's in the net! Power play goal, Dylan Cousins!
A big game for the Ottawa Senators on home ice this past Saturday, taking on the New Jersey Devils. The game was tied at 1 after the first period. Then later in the third, Dylan Cousins breaks the tie, putting the Sens up 2-1. Ottawa would add 2 more late in the period en route to the 4-1 win, and it was goalie Linus Ullmark's first game back in net since taking a personal leave at the end of December. The Sens play in Pittsburgh tonight. Puck drop is 7 p.m. For the third straight year, a chef from British Columbia has won gold at the Canadian Culinary Championships in Ottawa. Chef Jay Park of Boulevard Kitchen and Oyster Barn Vancouver is the 2026 champion at the prestigious event. Chef Jonathan Williams of the Park Hyatt Toronto won silver, and Ottawa's Jason Softson of Stofa Restaurant in Wellington Street West took home the bronze. Congratulations to them all. That is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. Be sure to join Patricia Bull for CTV News at 6. The early edition of National starts right now.